What's going on, guys? Drew Creel here, heavy metal guitar player, YouTuber, host of the Shred Sessions podcast. I'm here today to talk about in-ear monitoring solutions for local bands, for up-and-coming bands, kind of gearing this video more towards my metal brothers out there. But I'm trying to, save the next generation a lot of heartache and finances by talking about this little product that I'm going to feature in this video. I'm going to be talking about the X-Vive U45 wireless in-ear monitoring system. This little device is $239, and in my opinion, it's your key to getting your metal band to play to a click live. Over the past few years, I've had the pleasure of playing in some local metal bands. We're trying to write tunes, we're trying to play shows, we're trying to kick ass and do cool things. One of the preconceived notions that we had is that we needed to get a elaborate in-ear monitoring system that uses like an X32 or a laptop with multiple outputs, so each guy in the band could have their own custom special mix to play the metal show, to play our elaborate progressive metal music live in Nashville, Tennessee. I thought that we needed that, okay? And I even bought a system that did that. Several years ago, I bought an Allen & Heath SQ5, which was like a $4,000 mixing board. And then I bought all of the, the headphone amp and the wireless receivers. I spent all this money on that piece of equipment, and unfortunately, that band broke up. So I ended up selling off that equipment for much less than I paid for it. A few years later, I joined another metal band, and the other guitar player, the key songwriter in the band, he had purchased basically a $10,000 Behringer X32 S32 setup with all the different outputs, and it had a drawer for all of the packs. It was balls to the walls, like a really nice system that you could take on the road. Now, if you can swing that financially, I definitely think you should, but also you have to ask yourself, is there anyone in the band that knows how to run this system, okay? And unfortunately, for the last band that I mentioned, we didn't really have anyone in the band that was knowledgeable from like a front of house sound mixing, monitor mixing standpoint that could run that. So what we had to do was pay one of our buddies every time we would play a show. We'd throw him $100 or so to come and mix for us live. I don't think that our band, I don't know if it was the songs, but I don't think that our band even sounded any better than any of the other bands that didn't have a $10,000 system. I think we were doing some cool stuff. My solution is to get one of these X-Vive U45 in-ear wireless systems. They're $239. They're pretty affordable. And what I would suggest that you do if you want to play to backing tracks, a click track, or cues, you'd get one of these and give it to your drummer. Okay, so this is basically a transmitter and receiver setup. So you would plug this into an analog board of some kind or a digital board. A lot of local venues have digital boards, and you'd plug this into one of the outputs, and then you would have the local sound guy who's running the show, or maybe a knowledgeable member in the band, set up a mix for the drummer so that they can hear the click. You could bring your laptop over there. You could mix down your click track in a way where you could split it to left and right. And I mention that because there are national touring acts that I know that have come through Nashville, and it's literally just their drummer playing to the click. Everybody else uses like traditional wedge monitors for their metal band, and I just think, if you can swing the $10,000 cost, the entry, the fee of entry to have one of those elaborate systems, go right ahead and do that. But I just find that a lot of like hardcore bands and local bands that are up and coming, even with 5 guys working jobs, it's really hard to come up with that amount of money. So I think this is a much more cost-effective, it's a much smarter solution. Just give your drummer the in-ears and let him count the rest of the band in and get up there and freaking rip your songs. And then if you get a lot of local buzz going on, you start selling a shit ton of t-shirts and CDs and hoodies and you're selling merch at your shows, then, you know, maybe put that towards a more elaborate system. You know, I would also say, you know, does your band really need backing tracks? Do you need a 1 minute, a 2 minute, a 3 minute ambient section in your set where people just stand there and stare at you? I would argue that you don't. You just need to freaking get people moving at the show. So that's just my take on that. Being in bands that are more on the progressive side of heavy music, where we have these fall ambient sections in the song where we just kind of stand there and nothing happens. I don't think that's a way to get a crowd going. And so more recently, it's just something that I've thought a lot about, you know, like this particular piece of equipment can save you thousands of dollars and get you playing shows a lot sooner than, you know, needing to afford something like that. And I've even heard horror stories from other bands on the podcast where one member owns that $10,000 rig, and then the band breaks up, and so the rest of the guys, you know, they can't get a replacement guitar player and play a show because they need that system to play a show. And I think you're giving yourself just a mega handicap when you do that, and you're shooting yourself in the foot when you could be out ripping gigs and starting to build something, which that's what I want to help people do. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is talk about the quirks and features of the U45 system. It is a transmitter receiver IEM system, wireless. It works up to 100 feet. You plug this into the analog board, you create a sub mix, and then that sends the sound to this guy. It's a very high quality sound that you're getting. Full frequency range, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz audio, 110 dB signal to noise ratio. This is for all the nerds out there. This thing operates on a 5.8 gigahertz true diversity wireless system. You got to keep things diverse these days for sure. But it works really well. It's very clean. And it's not just for the live scenario that I mentioned. You could use this in a lot of different ways. For example, maybe you're trying to run some songs on tour, like you're trying to practice for a couple hours before the show, or you're in the van even or something, and you're able to power up your pedal board. You could monitor your guitar with this thing wirelessly and do some practicing before the set if you needed to. Another use case would be just in the studio. Okay, maybe you don't want to run, you know, a 50-foot headphone cable to the other room. You could use this for tracking vocals, tracking drums. Just a very convenient thing. It's very low latency. It's under 5 milliseconds of delay. So you could use this as a monitor in the studio too. Maybe you run a podcast like I do. Check out the Shred Sessions podcast. You could use this to, you know, to monitor the show. Okay, maybe you're running the show. Maybe you wear headphones on your show and you want to monitor, you want to hear how things are sounding. You could use this thing as well. So another use case, which people watching this video probably wouldn't vibe with, but you could use it for like corporate presentations. If you wanted to monitor like what's happening in the room or what the speaker is saying. You could use it for somebody who is at church and is hard of hearing. You could give them one of these packs. The person who has difficulty hearing the preacher could use this to hear a little bit better, just as a possible random solution. But those are a few use cases. It comes with, you know, with the owner's manual, a warranty card. It comes with, you know, your transmitter. It comes, which is XLR, and then you can also connect a 1/4-inch input on there if you have that on your soundboard. Comes with the receiver that you would plug your in-ear monitors, your headphones into. Just an 1/8-inch input. Just a simple volume control, and then the channel control button is here. So you can run 6 of these off of one of these. I did want to mention that. So if you want to send a few different people the same mix, you could do that. Or you could get several U45 systems, and basically you could do like maybe 4 or 5 different sub mixes if your board has that capacity, and then everybody can hear the click, hear the cues, hear the different tracks that you have going in to the soundboard coming from maybe a laptop or something like that. So I just think that this is a great piece of gear. It makes doing the click track thing live a lot more accessible for up-and-coming bands. You just spend the $250, give it to your drummer, he'll count you in, and you're playing the rock gig. To me, that's the best use case for this type of thing. And it's easy. It comes with this cute little carrying bag. You can put all the little parts and pieces in here, throw that in your guitar case, and you're good to go. This is the key to playing gigs. Do not kill yourself. Do not shoot yourself in the foot by going into debt, $10,000 just to play local shows. Figure out a way to just rip gigs using as little gear as possible. Okay, so that's my recommendation. My name is Drew Creel. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, you should subscribe. There's a lot of cool guitar stuff on this channel, and I got a lot of exciting things coming up. So I'll see you in the next one.